Should the widow grieve the loss of a husband? Should she be wrought with emotion? Should the grief be because it was a personal and devastating loss? Well, the answer to all those questions is absolutely, without a doubt. We would think it's strange if that wasn't the case. But we need to note something else. We should also grieve at the hole in leadership that is left, at the spiritual vacuum that was created. Don't forget that the relationship between husbands and wives, and children and parents, and friends are all pictures of kingdom realities that help make kingdom living glorious and clear and full of joy. I think we are to understand something deeper in 2 Samuel chapter 1 when David and his men are grieving, other than just the fact that there had been a sword fight and Saul and Jonathan and others had lost. You know, this is not the first time war has been fought and there was loss of life. What David is lamenting is the fact that God's anointed one had been killed, along with his successor, that God's people were now left without a leader. David is grieving over the fact that the people of Israel were experiencing God's discipline because Saul refused the leadership of God. And as such, the army of Israel was defeated. David is grieving because a hole has been left in leadership, and what are the people of God to do now? He is grieving that God will be mocked and seen as small among the Philistines. You know, there's something here from which we need to learn. We need to learn what is worth grieving over. When you see the people of God afflicted with bad leadership or no leadership, does it grieve you? When you see a lack of repentance in your own life or in others' lives, like we see in Saul's life, does it grieve you? When you see churches floundering, do we weep? When you see a loss of confidence in God, is your heart broken? When you see the people of God moving and living in weakness and being routed by the enemy, does it tear at your soul? When they are more inclined to hide out and wait instead of stand up to fight, do these things bother us? Do we stop what we are doing and cry out to God on their behalf? Well, this is one of the lessons that we are learning from David, that even though David and Saul contrasted, Saul was still the king, and David grieved over the hole that is left in the leadership. And that should teach us something about what we grieve over as well. As you pray today, please remember David Marroquin and his family, our national changemakers in Guatemala. And also remember the Song Hey Life Word broadcast that's heard throughout Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, and Mauritania.